So let us understand what is Sahaja Sthiti or natural state. The many times people ask me question. I understand spiritual learning, spiritual teaching. I understood all Vedanta. But when I apply it in life, I have a challenges. I'm not able to apply consistently. Okay, Jagat is mithya or Maya, but when I go to world, the world appears to be very real. Right? So we have a challenge of the spiritual teaching applying in life, or it became a day-to-day living experience. So here I want to tell in a perspective of our body and mind. Our nervous system consists of three parts. The top brain is called um, neocortex, midbrain, and lower brain. The three brains are there. The upper brain is the human. For human being, it is a new addition. The midbrain is common to animals and human beings. The lower brain is common to human and lower brain is spinal cord. Reptiles, all the reptiles have that. The reptilian brain is designed for fight or flight, right? Reactions in life. Any situation, you have to react. Okay. So now the reaction is a program which you keep on executing. That now also happens. You talk something to somebody, you'll get angry, right? Or his behavior is predictable because it's already programmed. All these programs come from the lower part, reptilian brain. The upper part of the brain is not used for some functions, but not really. Habit patterns, all those things get programmed in the nervous system, spinal cord. It's called in ancient languages, we used to call it samskaras, habit patterns, and vasanas. So the fight or flight is anything happening in nature. Let's say you imagine a deer standing in a forest. A small break of a twig, it has to run. It has no second chance. Every small event in the world, it triggers some response. It has to trigger. So what happens is that the animals are programmed for that triggering. They'll run. The nervous system responds. In human beings, the triggering happens at two levels: at the nervous system level and at the thinking level. At the thinking level, any thought of fear, anxiety will create the response within the system. Every single thought creates a hormone which will drive the system. So this is the additional contribution which human beings have got, that because of neocortex, additional development. So everything drives a fight or flight or freeze response in our body-mind complex. This response drives our behavior called samskara. In animals, the samskaras are lower level for food survival. Whereas in human beings, everything becomes a samskara. A mobile phone, a TV, a social media. And every time you respond to the social media, or every time you think of this social media activities, or anything in the world, starts a response. And our nervous system continuously, most of the time, will generate stress hormones. The body is continuously, any thought, like for example, I have sent a message to somebody, the reply has not come. It generates stress. That was not there in the early days. Okay, or I have to send a message, or somebody has not replied. Everything creates stress hormones, thinking. Whereas for animals, it was more of a out response. In your case, even mobile phone ring, that creates a stress hormones, hearing. Because our nervous system, lower nervous system is still animal nervous system. And added to that, higher nervous system is already contributed to that. So the spiritual journey is to come out of this reactive mode. The reactive mode is called Rajoguna. And fear mode is called Tamoguna. We are living in reactive and fear to come to Sattoguna. Sattoguna is calmness and peace. No, I don't know whether it's possible in the world today. Okay, we meditate for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Meditation. Meditation is supposed to make the mind calm and peaceful. And spiritual teachings have to go deeper. The mind has to be calm and peaceful. Which actually means our nervous system stress level has to come down. The accumulated habit patterns have to reduce. The program behavior has to come down. It has to be conscious living. Right? Now, is it possible? Practical. So that's where ancient people told Shiva and Shakti. Our nervous system has two parts, left brain and right brain. Left brain is thinking and right brain is emotional. They are not balanced. Which is more dominant in the current world today? The emotional aspect. Okay, emotional aspect is more dominant. Not emotional, thinking. Our whole life is about thinking. So the thinking, thoughts is mind. Thoughts is name and form. We are only trained for name and form. Okay, all our life is nama rupa. Name and form only becomes our basis for life. And name and form is reality. Everything is thinking only. Thinking. You don't even think whether thinking is constant thinking. And the thinking creates a center called ego. There's no ego. The process of thinking creates a pseudo center. Thinking creates a thinker. Thinker doesn't create thinking. Thinker is also a thought. There's no entity called thinker. It's like a river is flow of water. There's nothing called river. A continuous stream of thought gives a feeling that there's a thinker. And continuous stream of thoughts gives a feeling that there's something called mind. The mind is not there. It's only consciousness there.
Thoughts create the thinker.
Stream of thoughts gives the thinker, which illusion of thinker, which is also another thought. Okay. So we feel that there is a solid entity, something in me, which I have to get rid of. Okay? That's what is enlightenment is about.
To overcome from the ego. Yeah,
we think that I have to overcome the ego without realizing that ego itself is not real. It's also a thought. Okay, it's also an entity which is a result of thinking process. Ego does not give rise to thinking. Ego is the thinking process.
The product of thinking. Yeah.
Huh?
The product of thinking.
Product of thinking. Or thinking process is ego. So we create a pseudo center, the false center. This false center is called ego. You can give an example of a river is there. In the river, there's a whirlpool, right? Whirlpool is not real. It is all the caching of river, but it still sucks something into that. So somehow our ego starts sucking everything into our life. I, me, mine. And this becomes additional stress. Okay. So our entire life, in animal life, is driven by instincts. Our life gets driven by ego, which is a pseudo entity. And constantly it creates stress in life. Stress hormones. Ultimately, stress translates to stress hormones. And these stress hormones affect the body. It affects the mind, it affects the body. See, if you look at modern day diseases, most of the diseases are caused by mind only. It's called psychosomatic. They are nothing but stress response to life.
All the autoimmune, most of the
autoimmune diseases, cancer, most of them are stress responses. So now, okay, let us say I'll start learning spirituality. I learn Vedanta, so Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. Okay, everything I learn. But what happens is when I enter into the world, again these nervous system responses trigger. Nervous system responses trigger. Okay. Ultimately, what drives your life? What drives your life is what nervous system is learned is driving your life, not what you understand.
Okay.
Okay. So, example, you learn car driving. Okay. Initially, your learning is conscious. Gradually, it becomes unconscious or subconscious. Then you don't have to look at when to press the brake, when to press the accelerator. The life is auto-driven automatically, right? Because your nervous system is taking over. Nervous system is fully in charge. Most of it. And that's a facility so that you can focus on other things. Basically, we have autopilot in our body, nervous system. So our life habit patterns, whatever is there, has become autopilot. So when you say, I'm not able to apply, it doesn't even come to your conscious mind. Your autopilot responding. Whatever your earlier samskaras are responding to that. Okay. So if it comes to your conscious mind, probably you'll say Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya, apply it. So it doesn't come there. It is already autopilot is responding. And autopilot is responding based on the stress, fight or flight. It has to immediate response. So that is what our life is. Now this autopilot, or what you call nervous system, subconscious nervous system learning our habit patterns, was called samskara and vasana in early days. Early days, samskara and vasana was very simple. Okay, they were living, life was not very complex. Now, samskaras and vasanas, what can cause samskara and vasana is very large. Right from advertisement to newspaper to TV to social media to everywhere, new samskaras are getting formed. And they're getting into our nervous systems. Okay. So, the problem for the problem which is not there for human animals is our neocortex, the upper part of the brain, which is called human brain. This brain is responsible for our concepts. Okay, animals, they have some minimal concepts, but we create concept of everything, abstraction, conception. That's what gives us given the ability of science, technology, and all. So we create abstractions and concepts in life. Okay, we create imaginary situations and think it's real. Fear. And we take the memory and create concept stories that animals can't do. This part of the nervous system is a blessing and it's a curse. Both. Huh? Don't have money, they don't create concepts. Say, for example, I'm saying the deer, when it goes to eating grass, it's afraid of the tiger. Okay. So when the tiger comes, I have to run. Smell of the tiger or presence of the tiger, I have to run. And when the tiger is not there, it's peaceful. Whereas what human beings come in, if some unpleasant situation is there, okay, naturally you have to run. But you create a concept out of that. That unpleasant situation triggers your memory or fear every moment. you create a story out of that. Right? You constantly, this should not happen. This should not happen. What happens if this happens? So animals don't have what I call the future projection and creating a story out of that. For animal, deer, the tiger is something I have to survive from. But human beings, the unpleasant is the enemy. Okay, I don't like it. I hate that person. So many concepts you accumulate. These concepts will drive your nervous system, upper part. The lower part is driven by instincts. Okay. So now we have created new vasana and samskara, which was not there. Now what to do? How to come out of this? Right? The Vichara, self-enquiry, Shravana, Manana, these portions. So Shravana, Manana will help you to understand a new level of reality, a different reality than what I'm thinking. Right? I'm body, I'm mind, I'm intellect, the world is real. All those, it gives a new perspective, new trigger. Vedanta teaching is Shravana Matrena Mukti. Mukti is not because of result of anything. Mukti is not because, okay, I'll meditate 10,000 years in the cave, I'll not get a mukti. Mukti or liberation is not because of any practice. It's adnana, ignorance. Ignorance has to go. But ignorance goes, how the samskara and vasanas have gone. Impressions have gone or not. Has your nervous system has become calm or not? Is the question. You understood. That's why many people say, I understood intellectually, but I am not able to apply. Application happens at the nervous system level. So it's like, I know the car, where the accelerator, where the brake is, but I'm not able to drive the car because your nervous system has not learned that. So what is required is this, what is Shravana Manana is Mukti. If you get a crystal clear clarity, Mukti. It solves your problem at the concept, at the conscious level. That what is conscious level has to sink into subconscious. Eventually it sink. Eventually it sink. Okay. So for example, car driving. Initially you learn consciously driving. But after some time it becomes subconscious. So that's why Shravana Manana, repeated Shravana Manana, it goes start going deeper into consciousness. Then Nididhyasa practice is you sit silently with the understanding Brahma Satya, Jagan Nitya, Jivo Brahma Yorapara, I am Brahman. That thought is called Brahmakara Vriti. With that you sit. Then what will happen is that your vasana and samskaras will come. Okay. You start ignoring the vasana samskaras. So you are actually getting rid of those vasana samskaras which are coming up. If you attend to that, if you respond to that, it will become strengthened. If you like it or dislike it, it will strengthen. If you are able to observe it and ignore it, it will go. That's called being Sakshi Bhava, Sakshi.
You are saying that same mind, one part is ignorance is there. That's why samskaras and vasanas is there. In the same mind, one part there is Brahmagnan also.
Yeah.
Intellectual also.
So the question is the same mind. How can one mind operate? Okay. So the mind has two parts. Our mind has two parts. It's called lower mind and higher mind. Lower mind in Sanskrit is called manas. Higher mind is called buddhi. Okay. The manas is associated with the body. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha. Vijnanamaya is intellectual sheath. So now what will happen? The intellect is the decision maker. Should be the boss in the body, boss in the mind. And manas gives various inputs. Raga, attraction, repulsion, thoughts, reactions will come from the manas. And this creates a center called ego, ahankara. The ahankara influences the intellect, buddhi. Okay, buddhi, intellect gets influenced by ahankara. So it is actually following what outer mind, lower mind is saying. The higher mind is following what lower mind is saying. The higher mind is closer to Atma. The mind, the consciousness gets reflected Chidabhasa and Buddhi. So it's the closest to the self. That's the only tool available for the self. Now that understanding and clarity happens at that level. That's called Vijnanamaya Kosha. That's why Jnana Yoga. Okay. So Jnana Yoga, you're trying to build discrimination. Atma, self, non-self. Right and wrong. Okay. That gradually you're helping Buddhi to become free from the clutches of the ego. Manas, ego. Okay. So now the intellect starts working under the guidance of Sakshi, not reactive mode, in the equanimity mode. So what happens is that manas, whatever input it gives, you are able to ignore it or you are able to witness it without getting affected. So now this starts the reprogramming. If you react to that, the program will continue. If you have a like and dislike for the program, like and dislike come from the ego. Now, you will not be able to transcend the ego until discrimination develops. That's what spiritual teaching is about. That's why Shravana Matra and Mukti means discrimination has to be developed. Then it has to be applied. The application is required. If you don't apply, it won't work. So Shravana, you have got Mukti. Oh, you realize, I'm Brahman. Wow, very good. I'm great. Brahman. Okay, Jagat is Mithya. Fine. When you come back again, you have problems. You're not applying it. First, you have to apply internally. The internal application is called Nididhyasa. Nididhyasa is you're holding on to thought. then vasana and sanskaras will come, don't react. And gradually what happens is nervous system starts becoming free from the noise. The manas becomes free. And of course, karma yoga, service, upasana, all these things are help to design the nervous system. It's called chitta shuddhi. Chitta shuddhi is equivalent of the nervous system in our language becoming free from
less dominant,
less stress. And nervous system has to learn new pattern. New pattern is equanimity, calmness, not reactiveness. So this is where person gets established sattva guna. From rajas and tamas, he becomes more and more sattva, more and more calmness. So for that, nididhyasa plays a role, application internally. Sit calmly, not react. Okay.
So you're saying intellectual knowledge, what we have is sitting in that 5% conscious mind. It never went into the
No,
subconscious mind at all.
it has
That's
gone.
why the samskaras and vasanas are there.
No, I'm saying the conscious, whatever is conscious, gradually starts getting into subconscious. That's what happens in your driving and everything, right? All driving everything, it goes into subconscious only. What is the difference between driving and jnana? See, jnana is Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. But your life is various circumstances are there. Circumstances appear. So the application of jnana, the various circumstances, what you have to learn.
No, which one is applying? Is the 5% conscious mind applying?
No, don't drop out 5% conscious mind. It has to, the whole system has to work in various conditions. So that condition, various conditions working is part of nididhyasa internally. So,
Where does the knowledge that Guru gives, where does it sit? It sits in the middle.
knowledge, jnana, shravana, manana, nididhyasa.
When Shravana is
Listen
happening,
carefully. Shravana, manana, nididhyasa, it goes into conscious mind, it goes to subconscious mind.
it goes to subconscious.
It goes to, everything goes to subconscious mind. Okay.
But then vasanas and samskaras
Vasanas and samskaras,
coexist. Jnana and vasana.
listen carefully, no? Vasana and samskara will appear. So this jnana, when Guru gives the jnana, he doesn't tell you, okay, Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya, what to do when a reaction, when something happens in life at this circumstance. It's a specific application. Jnana is knowledge, overall knowledge. That overall knowledge applied to a given circumstance is called yoga.
No, Satyadarshana.
Living is called Satdarshana. Application is called yoga. Moment to moment. Moment to moment, you have to live in that jnana.
Yoga Shastra, Brahma Vidya Yoga.
Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra. That's why it's called Brahma Vidya Yoga Shastra. Yoga means union, living in that union. But if jnana is Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya, but it doesn't tell you, jnana or Atma jnana, Vedanta jnana, doesn't tell you how to not react when boss is coming into picture. Every trigger, how you are responding. So that's where Nididhyasa helps you. Application of jnana to various circumstances in life is called Yoga Shastra.
Prabhuji, Nididhyasa is servicing the deep unconscious mind, like vehicle servicing.
Yeah. So basically, Shravana Manana is jnana. And that's mukti. You realize I am mukta. But as a mukta, I have to live in the world. Moment to moment. That moment to moment living is called Yoga Shastra. Yoga.
If I realize I'm done, my identity shifted.
Your identity shifted. And if you are in a forest, if you are in a mountain, Himalaya, if I reached I am Brahman, my identity has shifted. I have no problems. True. That's why what they say, once you get the Atma Jnana, this is the prescription given by earlier ancestors. I'm not speaking about modern. If somebody gets Atma Jnana, the prescription for them is take sannyasa. Go away from society. Don't further subject to any.
Trigger points are much lower.
Cut off the trigger points. That's why very clearly it's told in ancient scriptures. Once you get jnana, then he has to take sannyasa and go away from the trigger points. Now we cannot go away from trigger points.
Maybe we should probably think about at least tremendously reducing the
Yeah,
trigger points.
tremendously reducing trigger point
Yeah.
is practical for some people. For most of the people, it's not practical. So I'm trying to find out a way out of the situation. You understand? So the reduce the trigger point. This already what Dana is there gradually clean up. Now every moment we are getting a new trigger point also, no, in life, right? So living moment to moment, in present moment, is the challenge of application of Dana. Because the moment any situation comes, our nervous system is responding with the over habit patterns. If you cut off all the habit patterns and take a sannyasa, then gradually nervous system will be settling there. But most of us can't do the take sannyasa. We are grahasthas, householders. Okay, that's why karma yoga is prescribed. Karma yoga means any trigger comes, not reacting. Okay, upasana is there, any trigger not coming, reacting. Nididhyasa is there, hold on to jnana and internally whatever triggers are there, let them calm down, die down. So now what will happen? Your nervous system gets adjusted to new reality. Okay. Otherwise, our nervous system is continuously in transition because it's continuously learns.
So the way you can measure this, you kind of observe your day. Maybe at the time you are still caught up with the trigger, but the way you can measure that the progress is happening in your life is you probably have a time when
I'll give how to
back and see
how
you react.
That I have an index.
Okay, yeah, that's
okay. How to measure this?
Yes.
The index is called fire index.
Okay.
Fire, F-I-R-E. F stands for frequency. I stands for intensity. RE stands for recovery rate. So any trigger, emotional trigger in our this thing, it creates a fire in us. Okay. Now, earlier, the moment the emotional trigger comes, I'll react like this.
Correct.
Okay. The frequency will be more.
Yes.
Intensity will be high. Recovery rate will be slow.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's say if somebody talks something to somebody earlier, I'll get angry. Okay. Now, as the jnana seeps in, the anger intensity will come down. And frequency will come down. Now I'll not be bothered by small things. Earlier I used to get bothered by every small things. Frequency will come down. Recovery rate will be there. Now even if I get low power balance, recovery rate will be faster. So basically the system which was reactive, now it becomes less reactive. And if it comes pura sthita prajna, it will become settled down. Fire will be zero.
So there is hope for people who are progressive. Because many times they say, either you have it or you don't.
No.
When it comes to jnana, it happens right away.
No. People give. This is actually, I'll tell you, either you have it or not have it. I'll talk on that. Okay, jnana is 0 and 1. I'll talk on that. Okay. Here, what I'm saying is, the fire, the ultimately our quality of life is fire in our life. Fire is emotional disturbances. Jnana means calming down. Okay. So if your fire is coming down, frequency, intensity, recovery rate is coming down, that means you are moving more and more towards sthita prajnatva. Okay. This requires the jnana to settle in the nervous system completely. That's the clarity.
So if we have those prasnas and samskaras, does that mean that we are still in Vidya?
No. This avidya, don't bring the avidya concept. This understand this. I'll tell the avidya and relationship.
Jnana means, I have got jnana means an amount of avidya.
No. Listen carefully. The entire spiritual journeys, I started with avidya, ignorance. Correct, no? I started with avidya. And because of avidya, I'm in samsara. I'm suffering. Now I got an Atma Dana. Okay, I listen to Guri, Shravana, Manana, Nidhyas has happened. So I got a Dana also. Now there are many teachings where Dana is 0 and 1. That I'll tell you what is that.
The context is different.
The context is different. Don't mix up that context. Okay. So I got a Dana. I understood consciously. Understand? Now a trigger comes in my life. Okay.
So the jnana is just for her question, it is in the higher brain.
It is in
using the same terminology.
Yeah. Jnana is in the higher part of the brain. Buddhi.
The higher brain is there. Yeah.
So lower brain avidya is properly.
It's
Not
not there
that
yet.
way.
Do not mix up the things.
Let him-
Do not mix up the things.
Exactly.
So the higher brain is there. Yes, knowledge. It's gradually sinking into lower brain also. Okay. But if you have understood properly Atma Dhnana, Vedanta Dhnana, that's all it is there. Okay. People think that Vedanta Dhnana is some theory. Okay. It is not. If you get a Tattvamasi, Shravana Manu Nidhyasa, it's all it is there.
Yeah.
Now, where is the gap I am trying to tell you? The gap is, okay, the Dhnana to sink in. Okay. Listen very carefully. The ancestors told, once you get Tattvamasi Dhnana, then they said, take sannyasa and go to some place. So new samskaras will not be there. Old samskaras will not disturb you. They'll just start dying down. You are giving time to settle down Dhnana. Okay. Now what's happening? Dhnana is there. Okay. Now we think that Dhnana have to some gap. Dhnana, there cannot be gap. Dhnana is either yes or no. Okay. But the settling down time is a problem. The Dhnana to settle down, before it settles down, a new trigger comes, new reaction comes. Now, to Dhnana to settle down, you have to give time, settling time within yourself. That's called Nididhyasa. Are we clear? So that Nididhyasa also is very simple. Nididhyasa, as per Vedanta, there are two Nididhyasa, Antar Nididhyasa and Bahya Nididhyasa. Both are required. So then what happens? You Dhnana, you are applying internally. It goes deeper. So Dhnana, Shravana Manana Dhnana, you can't improve. That's all it is there. Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya, you cannot, even million times you listen, then you can't improve it.
Only one truth. So
The truth is same. You can tell in different ways, but you cannot improve it. But what you can improve is digestion of the truth. The truth has to sink in. But what happens is that we get a trigger. Then somebody react. Oh, my Dhnana is not proper. Then you are actually creating another vasana. Oh, I have to do something more about Dhnana. It's not true. So the trigger, you have to learn how to not get triggered by internal conditions or external conditions. That application is called yoga. Living moment to moment in Dhnana.
It could be physical thing or it could be mental.
No, it is everywhere. Everything. Physical and mental. Apply Dhnana moment to moment. Then gradually a nervous system settles down.
Trained by that.
Okay, then what happens? The fire will come down. So I'll tell you, example. So somebody just got the Atma Dhnana. The application is not happened. Then somebody shouted at him. He gets angry. But after half an hour, he realizes, oh, it's all Nitya. It takes half an hour for realization. Whereas as you become more and more settled down, it will be immediate. So from a swing from here to here, it will come down.
That's the way you can measure.
That's why you can measure. For measure of your settling down of Dhnana is actually progression, is fire coming down in your life. More and more you're calm and peaceful. Okay. Dhnana itself, Vedanta Dhnana itself, you have to understand, have I understood it properly? Is there a gap in my understanding? That understanding, is it correct, clear or not? That is Dhnana. Application, if you want to apply it fully, easily, cut off all the triggers and go away, which is not possible. So what happens is now, the triggers will keep coming. Before you learn driving, you are already put into traffic. So that's what happened to me. In America, when I went to America, I didn't know driving. I mean, I had a little bit driving experience. So I went to driving school. I got it. 2 times I failed. The 3rd time I got a driving license after a lot of difficulty. Then one of my friends who came from India, he said, we'll go to, from Texas, we'll drive to Grand Canyon. Okay, long distance. Long weekend was there. So I said, okay, you'll drive the car now? Yes. He said, you'll drive the car. I don't know driving. So then that fellow started driving. After that, he said, I'm getting tired. Why don't you take a steering wheel? I just learned the driving and now I've got a steering wheel. And this fellow, I thought he'd wake up. He slept. He didn't even wake up. I'm calling him, he's waking up. So I had no choice but keep driving in this traffic. I have not learned driving. And the trucks are coming, high-speed trucks are coming this side, that side. And I had to drive some 300, 400 miles. Okay? Not learning driving fully, I have to drive the road. So what happens is people get Atma Dhnana, but they're subjected to various circumstances of life very rapidly. So that what happened. Then they'll get it, whether I got a Dhnana or not. and they've heard Jnana is 0 and 1. So then they'll start getting a doubt about themselves, Jnana itself. So this adds a new samskara. So you need to give Jnana to settle in your nervous system. That's what is called Nididhyasa. So then what will happen is, once it settles down in the nervous system, your neocortex, which is conceptual brain, it becomes silent. You are working, the lower part of the brain, which is actually working brain, also becomes less and less free. It will become less and less reactive. So you start working under the influence of Sakshi directly rather than ego. This is what happens in our nervous system. So basically, our nervous system today is continuously exposed to external pressures, external circumstances. We don't give time for the nervous system to recover itself. We get half an hour Jnana and 23 hours of exposure, radiation. Right? We don't give time. So if you give time for yourself, sitting silently, that's why Ramana Maharshi says, very simple. There is not about practice. What he says is, find out who you are, inquire. He doesn't say keep on finding out who you are. Understand who you are. Then Sumaniru. Sit quiet. Sit quiet means what? You develop non-reactiveness to triggers. That's where your nervous system starts becoming settled down. And nervous system starts settling down. Your whole nervous system starts working with that field of consciousness rather than field of material world. Material world field is called Maya. Field of consciousness is called Brahman. So more and more nervous system gets Brahman. I cannot see Brahman. I cannot feel Brahman. But my nervous system can sync with Brahman as a silence. So then what will happen? That whatever Jnana you have, it becomes Sahaja for you, natural for you in day-to-day interactions. Until your nervous system gets the new reality fully, Jnana is not real time. Jnana will be there, not real time. Okay, you got angry. Then after half an hour, oh my God, Brahma Satya Jagannatha. Okay, let me come back. So there's a gap between trigger and response. That's called real time. So Jnani's nervous system is more real time compared to Adnani. Adnani's nervous system doesn't come back easily. So a person who has Atma Jnana through Shravana Manana, his nervous system will come back after half an hour. So Jnani's nervous system, maybe few milliseconds will come back. That's the difference. Am I making things clear? Is it clear?
You operate as your real nature, like Brahman. What is this coming back business? Like for Gnani, let us say, not for a seeker.
What is coming back means?
No, you said.
No. See, what I'm saying is ultimately our nervous system is a conscious mind, subconscious mind, or three brains.
No.
I'm saying even for Jnani's body also reacts to light because the nervous system is programmed for operation at lower level. Somebody comes and hits Jnani, body will react because lower mind will operate, but it will not create any conscious. I'm saying body will react. If somebody comes and hits, body will react like this because lower mind is up. Their function of the lower mind is to protect the body, but conceptualization doesn't trigger that. So body may react, then he doesn't get angry, or he momentarily the anger may trigger, but immediately calm down. System is, nervous system you can think like a hardware, and Jnana you can more like a software. Okay, now it can be more and more working real time or non-real time. In Adnani is non-real time. In Jnana it becomes more and more real time. Jnana. That's what is called Sahaja Sthiti, natural state. Are we clear? So Jnana has to settle in your life. That I call as yoga. Yoga means moment to moment living. That's why Bhagavad Gita is Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastra. So people put cart before the horse. They'll say yoga you practice and then you get Brahma Vidya. It's okay. That's possible. In earlier days, it was so possible. Yoga, people had a systematic evolution in yoga. Then we'll get Jnana. They'll go through Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda. Then we'll go to Jnana Kanda. There's a process. Yoga will happen, then Jnana will happen. Now, the yoga is there for Chitta Shuddhi. But today what happens is modern day, because of your good karma, you may come to Jnana first. Then Application is called yoga. Moment to moment you have to apply. That's why I would call it as Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastra. Yoga means moment to moment you have to live in the reality. So then what will happen is that your nervous system gets tuned to new reality. Just like when you learn driving, okay, initially it's conscious learning, then subconscious. Your whole system has to sink in. And that sinking in Ajnana, you'll not understand Brahman as an object. In your nervous system, it becomes silence and peace. Am I clear? Ultimately, that's why it's called Parashanti, supreme peace.
Yeah. So that are the flip side is day to day suffering. That many times suffering happens because of the reaction.
Reactions.
So that
and reaction is already programmed. And have you given enough time for the program to settle down? Is your understanding clear? Any questions on Zoom? There's something. Her question is, Vasana and Samskara are related to Avidya or not? Okay. Avidya or ignorance has two types of categories. Bandha Karana and, Vasanas which create Bandha. Vasanas is called Badhaka. Bandha.
So Bandha is attachment, right?
And I'm saying I'll take Bandha and Bhoga. There are two types. Vasana is Bandha and Bhoga. Bandha means they're fundamental blocking. Okay. That blocking vasanas are born with Jnana. Shravana Manna will give blocking vasanas are removed. So before you come to I am the body, I am the mind, world is real. Now Bandha Vasana gradually with Shravana Manna, Bandha Vasanas will go on. But Bhoga Vasana will remain. Bhoga Vasana don't block your Jnana. But they create desires which will help, which will interact with the world, and interaction create new triggers. So what earlier scientists said, oh, you have Bhoga Vasana, fine. Stay away from everything. Isolate. Let them die. Bhoga Vasana. That's called remaining Vasana Kshaya. Now that's not practical. Becoming a monk and all.
More than becoming a monk, you are simplifying life,
yeah.
Kind of bring your
so Bandha Vasana and Bhoga Vasana. Bandha Vasana is gone with Jnana. Bhoga Vasana will still make you live in the society, interact with society. Something will happen that creates a reaction in you. Because you are not giving enough settling time for the nervous system. Reaction is not avidya. There's the reaction part, there's a reaction happening. It's already whatever learned here earlier. They're vasanas, but they are not blocking your enlightenment. Atmadana is not blocked. Atmadana is through Shravana Matrina. That's why Vedanta is very clear. Shravana Matrina Mukti. Jnana will tell you, you are not a body, mind, or intellect. The teaching is Nanu, Nanembudu, Nanalla, Ideha, Manabuddhi, Nanalla, Sachidandatma, Shivananani, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect. This Jnana has to settle down fully. That Jnana has become clear. Buddhi has become sharper. But is Buddhi able to apply real time, moment to moment is the question. The moment to moment is application called yoga. And for that, a good amount of Nididhyasa practice will help. Nididhyasa is also Sumaniru. Don't do anything. No, let me observe the breath. Let me do something. Nothing. Sumaniru. Be non-reactive. Because you are not the body. Whatever you are trying to do with the body, then what will happen? If you Sumaniru, who is doing Sumaniru? Buddhi, higher mind, Buddhi, operating on condition, it says lower mind, Sumaniru. Keep quiet. Not react. Witnessing is possible earlier. Witnessing was you can't go to Sumaniru just like that. You cannot go. First you witness, become non-reactive, then Sumaniru. You keep quiet. So then in that keeping quiet, you are becoming gradually your nervous system gets soaked in that whole field of consciousness called Brahman. Your nervous system does not recognize Brahman as a new reality. Nervous system gets adjusted to the new reality called in peace. That's why they say peace on the face of the enlightened. Sorry? Anybody has a question on Zoom? Purnima, Vasu.
No question, Prabhuji, very clear.
So where is the gap? Okay, now I'll leave 0 or 1. The next question. Okay.